have a brother. And Zach, do you remember who his brother was? Who was Andrew's brother? I thought you remembered. Maybe it was someone else.
James and John.
Huh?
James and John.
So James and John, I think, are brothers, but this is Andrew's. This is Andrew's brother, Micah. Peter, exactly. So he went and found Peter and said, "We have found the Messiah." And when Peter came to Jesus, actually his name was Simon, and what did Jesus say? "I'm going to call you Peter." That means the rock, a stone. So now this story, after Jesus called these three people, the next day they went into Galilee, right? So they were walking, and then they went into Galilee. These disciples wanted to know where Jesus was staying. So they came into Galilee, and now they found Philip. Philip was there. Jesus looked at Philip, and he said, "Follow me." And Philip started following Jesus. Now, Philip started following. But now what I wanted to say, that the meeting that Mom and Dad had was great. But what Billy Graham discovered, what he calls Operation Andrew, here is because John and Andrew were the first disciples. Andrew went and told, who is this guy? Peter. He said, "Come and see the Christ. We have found the Messiah." So Billy Graham, before he has a tent revival or anything, he calls it Operation Andrew. Go find somebody that does not know Jesus and invite them to come. So that, if we would have thought about it, had more time, had more planning, we would have invited all of our friends that do not know Jesus there at the meeting last night. And then we can show everyone who Jesus is. Come and see, right? So that's what Operation Andrew is all about. Now, Philip said, "Well, I know somebody that would like to see the Messiah." He said, and he went, and guess where he found Nathanael? Nathanael was hiding he wasn't hiding, but he was hanging out somewhere. Does anyone know where Nathanael was when Philip came to him? Do you know?
By the sheep.
By the sheep? No, not by any sheep that I remember. Micah, do you know? Under a fig tree. He was hanging out under a fig tree. And because Philip was close friends with Nathanael, he knew where to find him. So he went under the fig tree and he said, Philip findeth Nathanael and said, "We have found him, of whom Moses in the law and the prophets did write. This is Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." Well, Nathanael grew up in Galilee, and he knew where Nazareth was. And he said, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" And there again, Philip had been hanging around Jesus. See, I think Nathanael has my attitude, my personality. If he sees something, he doesn't think before he speaks. He just says, "I know what's in Nazareth. Can anything good come out of there?" And Philip's been hanging around Jesus. If you hang around Jesus long enough, he rubs off on you. He didn't make a smart remark or anything. He just said, "Come and see." The exact words Jesus said, "Come and see," right? So Nathanael thought, well, if you think about it, they weren't that far apart. And all of the Galileans, let's put it in modern terms so you can understand. We're not far from Bristol. So Grand Valley and Bristol's are rivals, right? When they play sports, Grand Valley is a much bigger school than Bristol. They can probably beat them every time. So Bristol is in the lower seed. So what good team does Bristol have? We can beat them. So that's what Nathanael was saying. There's no law or teachers or prophets saying that the Messiah is going to come out of Nazareth. Like, what good can come out of there? We know nothing good comes out of Nazareth. So he said, "Come and see." So he convinced Nathanael to come. So Nathanael left, followed Philip, and as soon as Jesus saw Nathanael, he said, "An Israelite indeed, in whom we have found no guile." So that means there's no deceit in Nathanael. If there's anything that he questions, he'll just let it out. Like, why this or why that? So he said, there's no deceit. There's no tricking. You don't hide anything. And Nathanael said, how do you know me? How do you know me? This is the first time we've met. And Jesus said, before Philip came and seen you under the fig tree, I saw you there. And he said, oh, wow. You truly are the Messiah. You're the Son of God. And Jesus said, just because I told you that, you believe? He said, greater things than these will you see. He said, the heavens will open, angels of God will ascend and descend on the Son of Man. So if we think, I was trying to think, when do we see in the New Testament that Nathanael would have seen this? And I didn't have much time to study this morning, so I could not find a passage. But the passage that came to my mind immediately is in the Old Testament. Can any of you children think a story in the Old Testament where the angels of God are going up and down on a ladder? Can anybody think of it? I'll even put it up here for you guys. It's a story in the Old Testament. Angels are going up and down. I know you know, Micah. So, remember the guy had a dream. That makes it even easier. The guy was sleeping on a rock for a pillow. How many hints? Do you know who it was? Do any of you need more hints? Go ahead, Betty. Who was it? It was Jacob. When Jacob was running from Esau, right? He went out into the field. And he didn't know if he didn't know if he was alone. He didn't know if Esau was going to find him and kill him. And he laid down and slept. And this is what came to him. But before I go into him, I jumped ahead of myself. Let's go back and let's study the life of Nathanael. Then I'll finish it off with this. So the first thing that Nathanael did when he met Jesus was there was no guile. He was always asking questions, right? So if there's something you need to know, just ask questions if you don't understand. And then my personality type, if I ask a question, I like to go away in a quiet place and I like to process it. I can't process with a lot of people around, a lot of noise. If I'm on the phone, I will go into another room. I got to hear, I got to understand. So I think Nathanael went underneath in the quiet place, and there he met God, talked with God, and all those things. And that's why Jesus said, I knew you under that tree, right? Because Jesus is God. He was connecting with it. He said, I knew you. That was your place to pray. So number one, we can always find a quiet place where you can talk with God, right? So now, the next question, he said, can anything good come out of Nazareth? So why, if Jesus, so we know Jesus of Nazareth, right? And the prophets, the Pharisees and stuff, they could look up Scripture and they would say, but the Messiah is not going to be born in Nazareth. So can you children tell me where in the Scriptures that Jesus was prophesied to be born? It was not Nazareth. So where was Jesus born? You know. Where was Jesus born? Think of the star. What city is that? Starts with a B. Bethlehem, right? So he was born in Bethlehem. So when the prophets and them came and said, you're the son of Joseph, you're Jesus of Nazareth, why didn't Jesus say, but I was born in Bethlehem? So there is truth hidden in plain sight. If you don't want to know about Jesus, he's not going to force it upon you. So that's another thing we must learn, to search the Scriptures, to know where those truths lie, right? So once he knew who Jesus was, then he believed, right? So then he said, greater things you will see. And that's where we'll go into this story. These are the greater things. Now, Bethlehem, do you guys know what Jacob named this place after he woke up the next day and he had this vision. He named this particular spot out in the wilderness a certain name. Does anyone know? Starts with a B as well. It's almost like Bethlehem, but it's Bethel. It means house of God. Because in this place where he was laying, remember, he was running from Esau and he was scared. And then God came to him in a dream and he said, the place where you liest, I will give you. All this land you will inherit and live in it someday. So, what land do you children want to inherit? You're not interested in it, or maybe you are, I should ask you. When you grow up, when you don't, where exactly do you want to live? What land do you want to inherit? I know I want to inherit heaven up here. That's where Jesus is, right? Now, probably he's going to come down on the earth in this spot, so that's why that was important to the Israelites. But for me, I want to go up to where Jesus is. And in the next verse, he said, I am with thee. God told Jacob, I am with thee. I will keep thee wherever thou goest. So I'm just going to end with this saying, if Nathanael is going to see greater things, and we want to see greater things, we want to see the angels ascending and descending. So I'm going to say Jesus is God's right-hand man, right? Over here. We are the people over here. How do we connect this bridge between right and wrong? There's a way. So I'm going to say, I'm going to use this rope here as a connection, right? What color is this rope? Red. What color was Jesus' blood? Red. That is the connection. That washes all our sins away. See, Jesus is perfect. This hand is perfect. This hand I hurt the other day, so it has a bruise on it, right? So this is imperfect. Sin does not make us perfect. So this is a perfect hand to use. This is Jesus' hand because he's on the right hand. Now there's a distance here. But if you go to your quiet place and you start connecting and intertwining with God, you make a connection, right? Then all of a sudden life happens and you get busy and bloop, you start getting distance further away. Then you say, oh yeah, I got to go to Bible study. I got to reconnect with God. And you start intertwining that again and something starts to happen, right? Let's see if I can, okay, I got it. I did this when I was a kid and I can do it fast, but when I start talking, I forget where it belongs. Okay, so now we're here, right? So now everything's connected, everything's going good, it's strong, but then you get married and you have children and they want kitty cats. Then you have another problem because I don't like cats. So then you say, God, what do you want me to do? And he says, well, remember, keep intermingling with me. Go in the scriptures. Be intentional, right? And you say, okay, but there's a lot of loops through life that you can take. The choices you take matter. Now this morning I really struggled because I couldn't remember what choice to make next on this loop. Then you have to take this loop and this one over this one. You have to be intentional and you put your fingers in there and then you say, God, I'm giving it to you. You are the bridge that connects heaven and earth. And there is Jacob's ladder. From heaven to earth, and this is the way you go up to heaven. And once you get up to heaven, there are no more Band-Aids, there's no more sickness, and let's hope there's no more owies. I put a little bit of salve on there, a thorn got underneath and it feels much better today. It's all better, don't worry about it. So with that in mind, that's how you connect to Jesus. And with that, you can go back to your seats.
Tent thing, what is it called? Tent meeting. And I remembered something's been eating my chick feed. I put I have one chicken that has 4 chicks, and I put her in the other chicken tractor. But I stopped closing the door at night, and I had the chick feed off to the side in a bag, and I noticed that something is opening the bag and